What's up, YouTube? KSora45 here. 2 days ago, I put up a deck profile of an agent build. It was Trooper Agents. If you haven't seen that, go over and check that out. Because this discussion video is going to be in part about that deck, and just as the agent theme in general. But I said on that video that I was going to want to talk about the agent deck as a whole, the variations of it, and some of the pros and cons of each version. So you have two versions, okay? The first version is Trooper Agents, which is pretty much what I showed you yesterday. It consists of these cards, Herald of the Orange Light, Card Trooper, and Call the Haunted. And then the other version runs more trap heavy, a hand trap heavy like Tragodia and Max C's and stuff like that. And then they run the Chaos monsters like Black Luster Soldier and Chaos Sorcerer along with Tour Guides, where this one, even though it can run Tour Guides, some of them don't. There's also in-between versions, like there's a straight Chaos version where it runs no traps, and then there's a Chaos version that runs Call the Haunted and Card Trooper. And things of the sort. So you have one that's all the way to the right with just Calls, Thunder Kings, Card Troopers, and Heralds, and then you have this one that is Tragodia's Max C, Effect Veiler, Black Luster Soldier, Chaos Sorcerer. And then you have an in-between where they might run all these cards. So what I want to talk about is the pros and cons of this deck as a whole and the variations of it. So the obvious pro is that you get to run really big boss monsters and good support cards with this deck that a lot of other decks are very jealous of. In this deck, you get to run stuff like Master Hyperion, Christia, which is like one of the only cards I can think of right now that why won't this focus? There we go. Archlord Christia, which is pretty much the only card in the game right now where if you drop it, you win, which is pretty fantastic. And then you have Honest, which is pretty much can be a game ender or just completely turn the tide of the game, and they have absolutely no way of knowing that it's in your hand. They also support really good cards such as Thunder King Ryo and things like Call the Haunted and Card Trooper. The main reason I like Agents right now, though, other than Christia and Hyperion and Honest, is Herald of the Orange Light. This card is beyond fantastic right now. Everything in the metagame right now is based on monster effects. You have Yugioh, who relies on the Yugioh armor flip to generate advantage, and if anyone has played against that deck, you kind of know that if they're not getting their armor flip off, they're most likely going to lose, because that's how they start all their combos. Everything is combo based right now in the metagame. So whenever you have cards like this that completely just destroy those decks, like wind-ups or anything like that, where they're trying to flip this and you pitch, you know, you could pitch like even a dead Shine Ball out of your hand to negate and destroy their armor or their magician and anything like that, because this card negates the activation of an effect. So if you're negating like a shark, whenever your opponent tries to go magician shark, Magician won't activate, and neither will Factory, and it's getting the other card off the field, so you're getting the threat out of the way. Whereas with stuff like Effect Veiler, you're just negating the effect. You're not negating the activation. So say, Wind Up Rabbit activates his effect, and Factory's on the field, and you Veiler it, the Rabbit's staying on the field, which is good because that thing's hard to get off the field anyway, but Factory's still activating. So, and then next turn you have to kill the monster, and if you don't, then Veiler was completely pointless. But this, you don't have to kill it through battle or use a dark hole or anything. You kill it with this. So that's the main reason why agents are so successful right now, is because Herald of the Orange Light just destroys everything. Then the added effect of Herald of the Orange Light is you can pitch boss monsters such as Archlord Christia and Master Hyperion, and then just Call of the Haunted them back. This is extremely deadly whenever you're chaining to an effect or something of the sort. Say your opponent, activates, let's see here, Monster Reborn. First of all, if they try and Monster Reborn something in your graveyard, you can just Call the Haunted it back, which is pretty much game ending right there, because they're wasting their power card in Monster Reborn, and you're wasting just one Call of the Haunted to bring back your monster anyway. But if they try and Monster Reborn one of their cards, you just chain this bad boy, and then their Monster Reborn fizzles, and you have a 2800 no special summoning monster on the field that whenever you drop it by herself, she wins games. So those are the obvious pros of the deck. Now, the cons are things whenever you open hands like, give me 1 second here. Whenever you open hands like this, it's like, okay. Well, let me just set my Shine Ball and set my MST. So then they attack your Shine Ball, and then they set a card, and then you blow up their MST. Then next turn, lo and behold, what do you draw? Another Shine Ball. Yay, you're still stuck. So, what can you do here? I'm going to let you know. Nothing. Yeah, so what happens is this deck gets very boss monster clogged. It gets inconsistent hands, especially when you're playing the Chaos version too, just because, you'll have things like, gosh, you'll have Chaos Sorcerer in your hand instead of, your Christio. I mean, that'd be better, but then Hyperion, or you'll have Black Luster Soldier in your hand with no darks. It's just, you can get inconsistent monster clogged hands. So that's obviously a downside to running this deck, is sometimes the deck can draw so bad that you can't get out of any situation. Now, I want to talk about the pros of the straight Chaos version over the Call of the Haunted version. The Call of the Haunted version obviously runs traps. The Chaos version does not. So, whenever you run the Chaos version, this card cannot beat you. This card alone can single-handedly win your opponent games. Like, say you set a Solemn Warning and Call of the Haunted, and you don't have, your Herald of the Orange Light in hand. One heavy can pretty much screw you over because it's ruining your entire setup. And almost everyone runs 3 MSTs. So whenever you run 0 traps, there is 4 dead cards in your opponent's deck game 1. So that's an added benefit. And then you can side in things like Goes in Match and things of the sort. Although a lot of good players will know that you're siding in the Goes, and so they won't side out some MSTs or some heavies, but you're not going to outright lose to Heavy Storm, which is nice. But yeah, that's the discussion video, guys. Those are some of the pros and cons of the deck. The deck's obviously very good. I don't think it's as good as Wind-Ups, but it's definitely up there. I think it definitely can compete with any of those decks. It has a very good matchup against Wind-Up. I'm just saying in general against the rest of the field. Just because of its inconsistent hand sometimes, I don't think it's as good as Wind-Up, because Wind-Up rarely has a bad hand that they can't play out of, where sometimes with Agents you will. But all in all, I think this deck is definitely in the top 5 of best decks so far this format, along with Wind-Up, Chaos Dragons, Yugioh, and probably Dark World. I do want to say one more thing. This deck has a very terrible matchup against Insectors. If you don't have their Herald of the Orange Light in your hand, whenever they're about to go off, you're gonna have issues. But other than that, the deck has solid matchups, and I think that's a big reason why it did so well at in Providence. So let me know what you guys think. I need your feedback as well, just because I'm definitely no agent expert. I know general concepts and stuff because I've played the deck before. But let me know what you guys think, and rate, comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Alright.